Welcome back to the Brothers Workshop. As always, I'm Sean, and today I'm back in the shop with my 1966 Chevy C20. And she's looking a lot like old Patches. I mean, you guys can just see 3 different colors right off the bat. 4 different, really. We got blue, yellow, black, and white. Well, that's because as I dove into this project, I was finding things that I didn't anticipate would need changed. And when I began this journey, I didn't know the first thing about old trucks. I thought I had a gem. I mean, realistically, for a Northeastern truck, she's a gem. But that, I learned, was because this truck was restored once before. Getting into the nitty gritty, I found that the original bed was red at one point in time. Well, as I got in underneath the cab, I found that the cab was actually red at one point in time. Now, I think that the miles themselves are actually correct based on how the odometer is set up. That 3, because it only had 30-some thousand original miles when I purchased it. The 3 is very even, dead center. It's not off or anything like that. Now, a lot of people have pointed out in the comments in other videos that if it were in the 100-some thousand mile range, that 3 would be somewhere else, like a little bit off center. For the people out there, the keyboard warriors who want to say that this truck has more than 30,000 original miles, well, that is not the case. It is a 30,000 mile truck. The best I could put is that the old man who owned this truck before the gentleman I purchased it from, he drove it to church every weekend, and that was it. That's all he did with it. Before that, who knows, but the kid I purchased it from, he kept it in his brother's barn for years. And there's a lot of people who want to say this isn't a barn find. Well, I literally went to a barn and picked this bad boy up. I'm pretty excited. I've worked really hard for this day to come. And instead of just making a bunch of little videos here and there, I've decided to wait and make one big video, because as I started digging into this project, little things kept creeping up. And I'm sure anybody who's ever restored a classic pickup truck knows this. I mean, these things were, especially the C20s, they were workhorses. They worked the farms, they worked delivery, agriculture, whatever it be, they worked. And they were out in the elements, especially for a Northeastern truck. I mean, most of them rotted out. But this particular truck had an owner who cared. Cared enough to restore it. Yeah, that's right. This is not an originally blue truck. When I began work on the bed initially, I found that it was red in certain spots where they had missed the spray and everything. Well, come to find out, as I began to restore the frame of this truck, getting into all the nooks and crannies of the cab, well, the cab was originally red too. So at some point in time, this was originally a red truck, and somebody painted the blue. And I love this blue. It's a beautiful blue. It's the reason this truck pulled on my heartstrings. Like, the second I saw it, I was like, that's the one. That one right there. That's my truck. I can't tell you why, but I remember it vividly. I took a ride with the kid who owned it. He's probably about my age. His wife gave him the ultimatum: either you could start your business or keep working wherever you were working. But if you start your own business, you have to sell the truck. And you know, this is what he's telling me as we're doing the test drive, because he was a little shaky. He's like, "Can you drive a stick?" I'm like, I laughed. I was like, shoot, I used to drive 18-speed Peterbilts in the oil fields. Like, yeah, dude, I could drive a truck. I could drive 10-speed bed bugs, man. Like, you name it, I've driven it. But these old trucks, man, they're geared different. I mean, well, you guys know. Well, maybe you don't. But every manual transmission is just a little different. Even if you have 2 identical vehicles, they're just a little different. It takes a little getting used to, but boy, when I went in there and I was sliding through gears. Now, I know you guys, if you've ever seen that mansion video, the one that a lot of people the channel for. My favorite saying is, if you can't find it, grind it. Well, if you've ever driven these old trucks, that first gear is really just a creeper gear. You're supposed to start out second, at least on how this particular truck is geared. It's really low. She likes to top out around 45, 50 mile an hour, and if you hit 55 on the highway, she's talking, boy, she's screaming. And you know, she'll go every bit of 55, maybe even 65 downhill if you got the wind behind you. But anyways, this old girl, she was cared for. She's a Northeastern truck, and that means she should have been rotted and roached, especially if she's worked. But the kid who I purchased the vehicle from, after telling me that his wife gave him an ultimatum and he really wanted to start his own business, he told me that the guy before him was an old man who had this truck as his Sunday driver just to go to church. And that was awesome, because this is going to be my weekend skate park, weekend car cruise driver. I want to mob out to the skate park, but I want to do it in style. And for a long time, I thought that I was going to paint this truck black. I really love classic trucks when they're black. It's just something about how sleek the truck looks. It's just, oh boy, the lines just really hit. But that's not me. Like, that doesn't speak to me as a person. Now, I was never the kid who was gifted anything. No. My father said, the day I graduated college, go get your CDL, you're driving. And since I could walk, I was always working around the shop, working on the trucks, or literally working on the trucks. Like, my dad would take me with him, and I would go out and work. It's a very, very common misconception here that if your family owns a business, you're just some golden kid, some golden child, as some people would say. Well, that's not the case. My family believed in working from the bottom up, and you earn everything you get. So I spent a lot of time on these trucks as a kid, especially the older ones. One of them was an 80s square body. It was 3500 with a 12-foot box on the back. And I grew up working in that truck, and then later they transferred that body to a Ford. And boy, those 7.3 liters, they're nice, a lot better than what Ford has nowadays. Those 6.0s, boy, Ford, you lost me there. And then I became a Chevy man based on that 6.0 motor. Garbage. I can't believe you would do that, stand behind it. And then you're still standing behind it with the 6.7. Not a good motor. California, thanks for the DEF fluid and the emissions. You're destroying trucking single-handedly. I'm not the only one with that opinion, but it is an opinion. Whatever. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of people switching to gas just to avoid all the headaches and the $17,000 motor repairs and all that kind of junk, just because of California. Whatever. Anyways, guys, growing up in these old trucks, these old International Harvester gasser trucks, those Load Stars, boy, I remember crawling around in them. And I just love it, the smell, the feel. One of the first trucks I drove was a 93 International. Boy, that thing was a bad truck. Like, and I mean bad in the sense of good. The thing would start up right away. We had her geared down low, so she didn't go fast, but she could climb any hill. Man, she reminds me of this truck, the 66. Now that truck, we had her numbered. That was 612. 612 was the baddest thing I've ever seen on the sun. She's driving around in Dominican Republic somewhere. When we sold her, it was just getting to the point where it was too much. We couldn't handle it anymore. And away she went. She went down where people could give her some love. sad to see it happen, but it is what it is. These things are steel, and they rust away, and if they're not getting used, that's what happens. So this truck, as I started to dig into it, I realized that the bed had some major issues. At some point in time, it was no longer able to hold the wood, and the old owner, I don't know which one along the line, I honestly don't even know how many people own this truck, but somebody decided to weld a steel plate in. And then that one started to rust out. So the owner welded another one on top of the old one. And as I dug into it, you can see those videos because I'm going to link a playlist at the end. I realized just how crazy it was. Like, I can't save this bed. And there's certain parts where it was rusted, and that restoration that was done on this truck used a lot of Bondo instead of fixing, instead of using metal patches or anything like that. They used a lot of Bondo. As I began to look into the certain parts and trying to save the bed that was on the truck, I realized that just wasn't going to happen. I can't cut that steel plate out. I want the wood that was original to the truck. These trucks came with wood beds. I want the wood bed. It reminds me of the wood in the box trucks that we used to have growing up. You guys could hear there was a tuner meet on my way into the shop. I saw it. There had to have been like 300 plus cars at this tuner meet, and they're racing the straightaways as we speak here. If you could hear it in the background, it's kind of funny. We're pretty close to the highway, but anyways. So I'm not going to do any trim on this truck. So I removed the trim from the new bed I had to purchase. The new bed didn't come with a front plate, so I tried to reuse the one that was on the old one, but there was a piece of steel angle iron that was welded on to add support to the multiple sheets of steel. It just wasn't. I didn't like it. You couldn't really. You couldn't screw down the wood that was on the bed when I got it, and I just felt like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. So I went out and I purchased a new one, got that guy installed, and then the rear sill plate. Again, I was going to try to reuse what I had, but it was roached and rotted, so I decided just to buy a new one. We got that in there, and then that was a nightmare in and of itself, because I tried to do that with the bed on and the wood in, and well, I'm just gonna add a clip right here so you can see that. It just wasn't easy, but I got it in, and then as soon as I got it in, my brother and my dad were sitting there, Dave and my dad, and they were like, why don't you restore the wood? And I'm like, but the patina, and they're like, yeah, but rain and snow and salt would destroy it. I'm like, oh, you're right. So I'm just standing there scratching my head, and I'm like, one thing after another. So I pulled them out. I pulled out all the wood, and after I got it out, I realized that some of the cross members really needed to be sealed up and cleaned up. So what I did with the wood was I sanded it down, I gave it a light stain to make it dark. I did that twice, and then I did 5 coats of polyurethane underneath and 6 on top, so that I wanted it to shine like a gym floor. This reminds you of an old moving van from back in the day, or a brand new Kentucky trailer. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, hit that like button, because when you see a brand new moving van, there's nothing like that floor. I mean, it literally looks like a high polished basketball, like gym floor. Like it's beautiful. Like, oh, so that's what this truck's gonna look like. But for those metal strips that hold that wood down into place, I cleaned them up, obviously, sand them down, got all that rust and crap out of there. I used like rust stopping primer, and then I painted them black. And then on the top, I clear coated all that good patina in there, because I want to keep the character of this truck. I want to make it, like, a lot of people keep talking to me and they're saying, oh dude, keep it blue, keep it this, keep it that. No, I want to keep it in the work truck character. So to have the patina rails in the bed, it's not going to upset me to put something in the back of the bed, and if it gets scratched, it gets scratched. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it's going to have the patina and the original character of the truck. It's a work truck, right? It's a C20. It's not a $100,000 C10 that I'd be scared somebody would bump into or lean on or anything like that. Now, obviously, I probably still will be, because it's my baby and I'm working my butt off on it. But at the end of the day, when this thing gets painted, it's not an expensive paint job, because I'm doing a fleet style paint job. As I said before, I grew up in the trucking industry. My family owns a trucking company, and I'm going with their specific PPG paint code. The PPG paint code is specific to my grandfather. So this code, this PPG code, it's unique to my family. And as much as I would love a black truck with sleek lines, and it just looks so cool, like Sylvester Stallone in The Expendables, man, mobbing in that thing, I just can't get down with it the way that I can with a paint code that is unique to me and my family. Like, it's my history. It's where I came from. It's who I am. And I hope you guys can understand that, because a lot of people I talk to, they're like, keep it blue, keep it blue. What? I don't want to keep it blue. Blue drew me to the truck, as I said earlier, but blue isn't me. Blue is my favorite color, but blue isn't me. I am green. I'm here because of green. Anyways, I'm getting a little too deep on that, but that's why I'm going to paint it this green color. And as I began prepping it for the paint, which is only a month away, I'm going to be using the best in the business, and I'm going to get into who that is in a minute when I talk a little bit more about the paint job. But once I took the bed off, I looked at the frame and I said, well, my dad's talking, he's like, it's off. Clean it up. And I'm like, you're right, because I'm like him hawing about it. And that's when I realized, like, I'm looking, I'm like, if I don't do it now, am I ever going to do it? It's winter, because it was in the middle of winter when I did this. So I got a wire brush for my angle grinder. At first I used a drill with a wire brush, and even before that I used a hand brush, and I was like, the hand brush isn't going to do anything. The drill did, good job compared to the hand one. But there has to be a better way. So I started brainstorming, and I found that if I put I found the wire brush attachment for the angle grinder, and I was like, I'll give it a shot. It was only $4 at Napa, which is a little weird, right? You know, $4, okay. Anyways, almost instantaneously, that rust started coming off. I got it down to bare metal with just a wire brush. I was like floored. I didn't need to sandblast it. I didn't need to sand it or whatever everybody does that they make you think you need to do. That wire brush did a fantastic job. I really can't even, listen, if you're new to it, just get a wire brush and an angle grinder. Save yourself the headache of sandblasting, and just use some elbow grease. I got it done in a couple days, maybe just like 2 hours a night, just really going to town, getting in nooks and crannies. And I still use that drill to get in all the little crevices that the other one couldn't. But at the end of the day, whew, boy, I was done quickly. I got all the way down the frame up to the front, you know, where the control arms are and everything, and underneath and in all the nooks and crannies. Once it was done, I took that that primer that's used for rusty items. It's a rattle can by Rust-Oleum. And so I sprayed it down there. Oh gosh, I probably used 15 cans of that. I literally have 5 coats of that on the entire frame, all the nooks and crannies included. And then I took a very high it's a very high performance enamel spray paint. Yes, it's a rattle can from Rust-Oleum as well. And I did another 5 or 6 coats over the frame, and I mean, it looks like a brand new truck. It's a northeastern truck. This thing should be roached and rotted. That frame should be snapped in half. I've seen those OBSs everybody's drooling over, like with frames worse than this thing. I'm glad I did it. It took a long time, a lot of effort, and I haven't really been putting videos out because of that. Basically, I just really wanted to get going on this project because I was on a time crunch for it to get painted. So now I have the bedwood out and sanded, and I had it polyurethane. I did the frame. I primed it and painted the frame, and I mean the whole frame. Then I took the wheels. The wheels were looking a little patinaed, and as much as I love that look, the truck's going to get painted. So I took rattle can, the same type of Rust-Oleum. I'm kind of like looking at it right over here to the corner. I'll tell you guys exactly. Listen, and if you want to know what I used, I'm going to link everything in the description below. So don't be afraid to go ahead and check those links out. If you're interested, that's where they're going to be. So that's all been done. I got a new door. I don't know if you guys noticed that, the black door. I did that all myself as well. And the reason I'm doing all this is because I don't want the amount of body work to overwhelm the paint. I just really want to go get paint and not really have to deal with a lot of body work. So what I did was I transferred all the parts from the old door into the new one, aside from the mirror, because I'd like to get some chrome California style mirrors. I want toe mirrors, but I think that chrome ones will look better once this thing is all done. At that point, I've reused the same tailgate. I got that guy installed using basically hardware. I had to go up to the hardware store, grab some new hardware because the old stuff was rusted out. Guys, I mean, I don't know what to tell you outside of I've really worked my butt off on this. After using the grinding wheel, I had to take the pressure washer and really get into all of those nooks and crannies on the frame, cleaned it up, and then I primed it with that high performance enamel. It's supposed to stop rust or work on heavily rusted surfaces. I did about 5 coats of that over the entire frame, and then I did 5 coats of that high performance black enamel. Maybe it's overkill, maybe it's not, but I don't want any issues. I want to make sure I have a good quality seal on the frame. I don't want it to rust out, and I want it to be good to go for years to come. A lot of people say, hey, why did you use rattle can stuff? Well, there's a lot of people in the forums and a lot of people out there who's on the hot rod channels that say that the same kind of paint I used works great. Give it a shot. What's the worst that's going to happen? I got to repaint it? So I repaint it. But for now, it looks good. I put the bed back on. Right now there's no wood in it because I want to make sure that the painter can get into all the nooks and crannies. I can't wait, man. T-minus 1 month, and this old girl, we're going to be mobbing out to car shows. We'll be mobbing out to a skate park near you soon. Hopefully make it out to the Dino's Get Down. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hit the comment section below. Let me know what you think, please. I've taken a little break from posting because I've decided just to really hammer this home and make a longer video explaining what I've been up to recently, and then really hit that crunch of getting it squared away and together. That way, when it goes off to paint, there's nothing missing. Now, a few things they're going to do when it goes to get painted, they're going to fill all the holes along the bedside, and there's one little rust hole they're going to fill as well and fix it. They're going to weld it, sand it down from where all that trim was along the side. I don't want the trim. It's just not me, and I really don't want to have to worry about putting it down the side, the front, and on the new door. So he's going to take care of all that, fill all those little holes, and then they're going to fix the radio din. So at some point in time, the kid, not the one I purchased the vehicle from because he told me he didn't do this, but somebody put a aftermarket radio in, and it just looks real bad. They chopped up the dash. So I went to Brothers Trucks, and in an attempt to fix this, I went to Brothers Trucks and I grabbed the dash replacement panel or patch panel, and he's going to put that in for me when it gets painted. So the body work is minimal. It's really just going to be patching a couple holes from where the trim was and adding that patch panel in. Then they're going to blend the paint in the cab. I believe it's kind of like a grayish color. Finally, he's just going to paint it, and it's going to be a fleet style paint job. And for those of you guys who don't understand what a fleet style paint job is, the paint's a little different than like a regular car paint, and there's no clear coat. Being that there's no clear coat, it will patina over time. And one thing I'm excited about is that once this bad boy is painted, even though it's going to be garage kept, it will eventually turn into a patinaed old work truck. And I'm going to paint our logo on the side door to give it a little bit more character. And then, hey, who knows, maybe you'll see Dave and I mobbing out to the skate park, a job site, or the hardware store. It doesn't matter. I mean, this is really nostalgia here for me. I love it. These trucks, I love the trucks. If you guys love these trucks, hit that like button for me. Let me know you want to see this stuff. I'm going to continue to bring this to you guys. I want to bring this to you. It just so happened I ran into a time crunch before the paint shop, and I wanted to make sure like I got the front plate in the bed in, the sill plate installed in the rear of the bed, and the frame restored. Boy, that frame, man, that thing was tough. But it's done. And I'm proud of myself because I'm learning. Now the wiring, on the other hand, I have an all-new wiring harness I got from Brothers Trucks. It's plug and play, but I'm getting a little issue with grounds, I think, because the lights will turn on, but if I hit the brakes, they turn off. It doesn't make any sense. And if I hit the turn signal, it will work on one side, but turn the other one off. Maybe you guys know what this is. If you do, drop a comment below, help me out a little bit, and let me know what you think of the build. Do you like it? Do you think it's a good idea to keep it the way it is? Like, I'm going to paint it green, but this is going to be the third color truck's been since it was new. I mean, like I was saying earlier, it was red first. Now it's blue. We're going to keep that two-tone though. I forgot to mention. The cab is going to stay white, like the roof of the cab and the sides and everything, the A-pillar and B-pillar, and the rear where the window is. I was convinced by my mother. She really sat me down and said, boy, you better not change that. That gives it the character from the 60s, that two-tone that you don't see nowadays. If you make it one color, it'll look too modern. And you know what, I agree. So I decided, yeah, you know what, I'll keep it. And then that's why I kept the wheels white as well. Give it a little pop, a little character. And I'm not sure if I'm going to lower it as much as I want to, put it on bags and everything like that. It's a C20. It's a 3/4 ton truck. Shouldn't I be pulling stuff with it? Hey, maybe I'll pull my 53 panhead with it. Just pop that bad boy in the back. Let that suspension do some work, right? Well, anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video, if you got value out of it, please hit that like button for me. Let me know. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. And you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at The Brothers Workshop if you feel so inclined. Till next time, keep building.